Hello everyone. How are you all? Hope you are all great and doing fine. Welcome back to English classes. I am your English teacher Suma Reddy, working in a government higher primary school, Bhimasamudra, Chitradurga Taluk, Chitradurga district. So, do you know what we are going to discuss today? Okay, let it be. Let's move on to the image. Can you identify this image from where it is taken? Yes, you are right. This is the image from Mahabharata. And can you identify the characters also? Yes, you are right. Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva, and with them Krishna is also there, isn't it? And Draupadi is also there, isn't it? So what is all Mahabharata about? Do you know that? Is the story of Kauravas and Pandavas, and it is the greatest epic written in ancient India. So it is considered to be written by Vyasa Maharshi, and it contains 18 parvas. The first parva is Adi Parva and the last is Swargarohana Parva. And this is the story about Kauravas and Pandavas and their rivalry between to inherit the property by their ancestors. Okay, and here Pandavas are heroes and Kauravas are depicted as villains. Okay. So I hope you know the characters and the story about and who are the villains and who are the heroes of the characters and who wrote this epic poem, isn't it? And do you know about Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is the part of Mahabharata which comes in 6th Parva, that is Bhishma Parva, where Arjuna and Krishna, the mentor of Pandavas, were discussing about the war and life lessons. This is considered as one of the biggest work in our ancient India. Okay, I insist you to read all these epic poems or something about these epics and try to read about the characters and small stories. Okay. Today we have one story from this Mahabharata. Do you know which is that? That is about Akshaya Patra. Do you know what is Akshaya Patra? Patra is a vessel. Okay, Akshaya means which never ends or which never finishes. Okay, this is the story about that. And as we know, there was a rivalry between Kauravas and Pandavas. And in between that, Pandavas were made to go in exile for 14 years in the forest. Okay, when this was happened, and when this was happening, one of the eldest is Yudhishthira was little bit worried about how to provide food for all of these because they were in forest. So he was worried about their stay and food and other basic facilities which should be provided by the elder. And so he went to the sage and asked for the solution. So that sage told him to pray the Lord Surya, and when this thing he came to know, he went to the Lord Surya and prayed him, and Lord Surya was very much pleased with Yudhishthira's prayers, and he granted him, he blessed him with the Akshaya Patra. Akshaya Patra, and one condition was there: this vessel will be full of food until Draupadi had finished her meal. Means the food will remain until the Draupadi finishes her meal. There should be it should be fulfilled. When other people come after Draupadi, they won't get food. All of them should eat before Draupadi, and Draupadi should be the last one to eat, so that she can provide food from this Akshaya Patra to all of them. Okay, this was the condition. And one day what happened, you know, all of them were had their meals, and they were sitting, and there comes Durvasa Maharshi with their disciples. But the meal was already taken by all of them. Even Draupadi also took the meal. So there was no food left in the Akshaya Patra. Only one grain of rice was there. And what happened? As we all know, Durvasa is very much famous for his anger. Krishna wanted to save Pandavas from his anger, and he said that I am going to eat this one grain of rice. And when Krishna ate that grain of rice, all the disciples of Durvasa, and including Durvasa, they were all felt very much full from their stomach, means they are feeling full. Okay, this was the story about Mahabharata and Akshaya Patra. Okay, so any guesses which lesson we are going to discuss about? Yes, you are right. This is about the Unit 5 of 7th Standard Second Language English Karnataka State Syllabus. The name of the lesson is The Wonder Bowl. Okay, let's see of this lesson are: students will be able to give antonyms and suffixes. Students will be able to comprehend the passage and answer the questions. Students will be able to give adjectives and adverbs. Students will be able to rearrange the jumbled words and sentences. Students will be able to read about the stories of epic characters. These are the major competencies of this lesson. So let's move on to the new words from the lesson, which are mound. Mound is a kind of raised ground. Let's move on to the new words from this lesson. New words are mound, raised ground. The ground which is raised above the normal level is called as mound. Hooted is shouted. Illiterate is show disrespect or discourtesy to the strangers or anyone. Okay. Ragged is dressed in torn clothes. The people who are dressed in torn clothes are called ragged. Okay. Hospitality, the way we treat the guests or others, is called as hospitality. Mansion is a grand palace, and a grand house is called as mansion. Astonished is wondered or surprised. Okay, these are some of the new words and some of the keywords from the lesson which you need to pay attention and learn with spellings. Okay, so please be ready with your textbook and pencil and underline these words: couple, filament, baushes, form, food, kind, stranger, door, welcome, guest, joy, share, meal, evening, finish, supper, suddenly, hear, bark, shout, boys, village, noise, grieve, louder, hoot, pour, bring, newcomers, tired, table, bowl, milk, little, kindness, feast, hospitality, pour, confusion, astonish, again, ordinary, whisper, angels, heaven, bless, distance, messengers, desires, moment. So you can take the screenshot and underline it in a neat way, okay, if it is little bit fast. Okay, so these are the new words. Let's move to the first paragraph of the lesson. The Wonder Bowl. The old couple, Philemon and Baucis, lived in a hut on a mound. They worked hard in their farm and were only able to get as much food as they needed. Yet, they were so kind that they would never let any strangers who came to their doors go without food. They welcomed the guests with joy and shared their own meal with them. So this is the story about Philemon and Baucis. Philemon is husband, Baucis is wife. They were poor, they were old, not young. They were aged couples, and name of the husband is Philemon, name of the wife is Baucis, and where they lived? They lived in a hut on a mound. As I already said, mound is a place where the ground is raised than the normal ground. Okay, and they had the farm and they worked there, and they were able to get only food as what they needed for the day. Okay, they were able to get that much only. So but they were kind. Both Philemon and Baucis were so kind that they never let to go any strangers, means any newcomers, to go without having food, or whatever they have they would like to share with them. Okay, even they share with the joy, and they welcomed the guests in a very happy way. Okay, so this is about the Philemon and Baucis. Do you know what happened one evening? Let's see in the second paragraph. One evening, they finished their supper and sat at the door. Suddenly, they heard the barking of dogs and shouting of boys in the village. Soon the noise grew louder. Philemon saw two strangers at whom the village boys hooted and dogs barked. Philemon said to his wife, "Look at these boys, they ill-treat the poor strangers. I shall go and bring them. You go and see if there is any food to give them." What happened one evening? Philemon and Baucis they were sat at the door after having their meal, but they heard the noise, and the moments passed, it grew louder. What they saw? They saw the two strangers, and the boys were shouting at them and the dogs were barking them. So the Philemon was not happy with the way the boys are treating or ill-treating the newcomers. So he went to bring them and said to his wife that look at the if there is some food to give them. Okay. So let's move on to the third paragraph. Philemon went down to meet the ragged newcomers. He drove back the dogs and said, "Welcome, strangers." He took them into his poor cottage and made them sit at the table. They looked very tired. So what happened? Philemon went and he welcomed the guests to his hut, and he drove back the dogs and said to the newcomers or strangers who were in ragged clothes, and he took them to his cottage and made them to sit at the table in their house. Okay, they were looking so tired, both of them looking so tired. So after three paragraphs, you have 4 understanding questions. Let's take a look at them. Which sentence in the first paragraph shows that Philemon and Baucis were poor? In the first sentence only, it is known that the couple were very poor and they are living in a hut on a mound. Hut is a very small cottage type of shelter. Okay, in that sentence only we will find that the Philemon and Baucis were poor. Okay, would any stranger who came to their house go without food? No. Philemon and Baucis were very kind. They never let any strangers go without food. Why did the dogs bark? The dogs were barking at the newcomers or the strangers in the village. What made Philemon say that the boys were bad? Philemon said that boys were bad because they are ill-treating the strangers. Okay. Please look at the question and answers in the below given description box. I have provided a link there for your completing of notes. That website will help you to write down your notes. So don't forget to check that and complete your notes. Okay, you will get all the question and answers and other activities also in that website. Okay, let's move on to the fourth and fifth paragraph. Baucis placed a small bowl of milk on the table and said, "This is all that I have for you, sirs. How I wish you had come a little earlier. We would have shared our supper with you." What happened after bringing the strangers to the house? Baucis is to welcome and give some food to them, but there was no food at the home. So she brought the milk and said, "Sir, this is what all I have for you. So please drink it, and if you would have come little earlier, we would have shared our food with you," she said. Okay. "Don't worry, good lady," the guests are saying, said one of the guests. "All will be well. Your kindness makes this drink a feast to us. We are pleased with your hospitality." Because Baucis were hesitant, she could not provide food for the strangers, but the strangers were really happy with whatever Baucis came with. They are happy with the milk, and he said that your kindness, whatever you have in your heart, or that thing is that this milk is enough for us. This is a feast for us. So we are very much pleased. We are very much happy with your hospitality. Okay, this is about fifth paragraph. Let's move on to the sixth one, which is a little bit big. So pay attention. Baucis poured the milk from the bowl into 2 cups and placed them before the guests. They drank the milk, and later one of them asked for some more. Baucis in confusion said, "Sorry, my dear guests, there is hardly a drop left in this bowl." "Why?" cried the guest, taking the bowl. "There is milk in this bowl, as much as we want." So saying, he filled not only his cup but also his friends. Baucis was astonished as the guests filled their cups again from the bowl. She could hardly believe her eyes. "They are not ordinary men," whispered Baucis to her husband. "Yes," he replied, "they must be angels from heaven, come to bless us." See what happened? There is a kind of surprise here. What is that? That Baucis poured the milk from the bowl into 2 cups because the strangers were 2. So she divided the milk into 2 cups and she placed it before the guests. Okay. They drank the milk, and later on one of the guests want more milk, but there was no milk in the bowl. So when he asked for the milk, Baucis replied that, "Sorry, we have this much of milk only, so please excuse us." When she said like that, one of the guests was cried. He was talking in a louder way, said that, "There is milk in this bowl. See, there is milk in this bowl as much as we want. There is sufficient milk in this bowl." So saying, he filled his cups. Not only his cup, his friend's cup also he filled. Okay, and Baucis was so astonished. She could hardly believe her eyes. And looking at this scenario or scene, she said that to her husband, "They are not ordinary men." She is whispering into her husband's ear. Okay. "Yes," he replied, "they must be angels from heaven come to bless us." Okay, they must be messengers of God or angels or a good soul who came from heaven to bless us. Okay, this is about 6th paragraph. So after 6th paragraph also we have 4 questions. Let's look into that. Why did Baushis feel that the strangers should have come earlier? Because they had no food at the time of the arrival of the guests. So if they come earlier, she would have shared their meal with them. Okay, that's why she said so. What were the strangers pleased with? Sorry. Strangers were pleased with the hospitality and kindness of the Baushis. What made Baushis astonished? Baushis was astonished to look at the guests filling their cups again and again from the empty bowl. Okay. Together, the couple decided that the strangers were, what kind of strangers? What are they? What may be there? They were the angels. Okay. Together, the couple decided that the strangers were angels. Let's move on to the 7th and last paragraph. Sorry. Good mother, said the guest, we thank you for your kindness. May your bowl be full of milk always. Then they went to bed. Philemon and Baushis could hardly sleep because of the wonder that the strangers had worked with the bowl. The guests arose early next morning and got ready to go. Philemon and Baushis walked out with them for a short distance. Good, Philemon and Baushis, said one of the guests. We are God's messengers. We are much pleased with your kindness. Ask for anything like, you shall have it. What the strangers said after that? Good mother, we thank you for your kindness and may your bowl be full of milk always. They are blessing Baushis and Philemon that, saying that this bowl may be full of milk always. Okay. Then they went to bed. They went to sleep, and Baushis and Philemon could not sleep because the wonder what happened in front of their eyes, it is hardly believable. So they did not sleep properly, and the thing happened with them did not allow them to sleep. Okay. When the morning come and the guests arose early, so they are getting ready to go. Philemon and Baushis walked out with them. So they are going out with them for a short distance only. As we all do, when the guests came to our house, we move a little bit, so that is a good gesture. Okay. We are God's messengers. The strangers are telling to Philemon and Baushis that we are God's messengers and we are much pleased with your kindness and hospitality. Ask for anything you like, you shall have it. So we are very much happy with you, and you are blessed with whatever you want. So please ask what you want, they are saying. Oh, 2 more paragraphs left. Sorry. 9th and 10th paragraph. So totally 10 paragraphs are there. The old couple looked at each other. After a moment, Philemon said, good angels, we wish to die together. Be it so, replied the angels. There is your home. Live in it as long as you desire and come to heaven together. So when the strangers asked them for their wish, they looked at each other in the surprise, and after a moment, what said? Philemon said that, good angels, we wish to die together, because they were so loving couple that they cannot survive without one another. So they want to die together. What the strangers said, or the God's messenger said, be it so. Whatever you want, you will have. And there is your home. Live in it as long as you desire and come to heaven together. So Philemon and Baushis were blessed with the home. And let's move on to the 10th paragraph. Old Philemon and Baushis were astonished to see their poor cottage turned to a grand mansion. When they turned round to thank the angels, they saw nobody there. They humbly prayed to God and lived in their mansion, doing good to everyone. So they are blessed with the home now. Old Philemon and Bauschis were astonished to see that their poor cottage was turned into a grand mansion. It's a kind of a little palace now. Okay. When they turned to thank the strangers were disappeared. They could not find the strangers, and they humbly prayed God and thanked God for giving this mansion. And they spend their life doing good to others or helping other peoples, and feeding the strangers and helpless people. This is all about the lesson. So what you need to do after this lesson is, you should learn all the new words and complete your notes with the link given below in the description box, and try to do the activities from the textbook. Don't forget to check the description box for the link. So till then, take care. Bye bye. Stay safe. Stay happy. Thank you so much all.